Their fourth studio album, Beatles for Sale, features it halfway through. Fitting in with the band's early phase pop on an experimental album, the song showcases the Beatles' talent. Unheard of for a mainstream tune back then, 8 Days a Week starts with a fading intro. Still, agitation had set in among the Beatles. They seemed at ease using the recording studio's equipment. By listening to Bob Dylan, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney were motivated to achieve more than just chart success. Beginning with the title track, No Reply, a fresh approach to songwriting is instantly apparent on Beatles for Sale. The song tells the story of Lennon's attempt to get in touch with his cheating fiancée. Even though he had progressed as a songwriter, he still found time to work on an earlier tune. Based on the 1957 R&B single Silhouettes by the Rays, Lennon wrote his own tune. In his own words, "I never called a girl in my life, but I had this image of walking down the street and seeing her silhouetted in the window and not answering the phone." This was his take on the classic Silhouettes scenario, because phones just weren't a consideration for English children. When writing Silhouettes, Lennon drew inspiration for his narrative. There was a shift toward the intricate stories that Dylan often wrote about in his songs. Dick James, the Beatles' publisher, told John Lennon, "That's the first complete song you've written where it resolves itself." Be that as it may, Lennon peddled the tune to Tommy quickly. The Beatles' manager Brian Epstein signed quickly, but the song No Reply was never recorded. Beatles for Sale was recorded by the Fab Four under intense time pressure. Meanwhile, Lennon reclaimed the song as they pieced together the album's track listing. Before Tip of My Tongue was published in 1963 by Quickly, it was another work by Lennon and McCartney. His career, however, did not last. With the exception of a short appearance on television, he faded from public view after retiring from the music industry in 1965. Included on Beatles for Sale are cover versions of songs that the band performed at the Cavern Club when they were just starting out. They continued to go into more creative terrain, though, thanks to the older tunes and the growing influence of Dylan. Despite Lennon's self-described Dylan period, beginning with No Reply, McCartney assisted him in concluding the song. "I think he pretty much had no reply," McCartney said. "But as usual, if he didn't have the third verse and the middle 8, then he'd play it to me pretty much formed. Then we'd shove a bit in the middle, or I'd throw in an idea." Because of the Beatles' economic success, EMI gave them more creative leeway in the studio. The band used the studio as an instrument and pioneered 4-track recording. No Reply and 8 Days a Week both sit on the cusp of the era where the Beatles' remarkable future begins to unfold.